Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Bet the Over. I'm your host, Kevbo, and in this episode, we're going to be breaking down the top 5 free agents the Giants have this offseason. And after I do the breakdown, I'm going to give an urgency score, which is basically determining how important it is to re-sign all these players. So the order I go in is not exactly the urgency score related to it. But let's get right into it. The number one free agent, as most of you Giants fans know, is their right tackle, Jermaine Illuminor. Illuminor is 31 years old. He graded a 63.8 on PFF, ranking him the 54th out of 89 tackles, right tackle specifically in the league. Now, with Illuminor, he is a little bit older. However, he was pretty important to this offensive line. His biggest strengths are definitely his pass blocking. He's reliable in protection. He's a great protector of Jackson Dart. He's got good footwork. And one of his weaknesses is he's not necessarily the best run blocker. His pass blocking is definitely a lot better. His run blocking, he doesn't necessarily move the line of scrimmage like you would like, similar to Andrew Thomas or Trent Williams, one of the top guys, but he is still a solid run blocker, just a little bit better in pass pro. Now, next, I'll get into the contracts. I'm going to do this for all the players. All the formats are basically going to be laid out the same. So, according to Spot Track, that's what I use for all of the players' contracts. Illuminor is going to demand about 8.6 million AAV, which is annual average value. So, $8.6 million per year, which would rank him the 20th highest paid right tackle in the league, which is fair value considering his age and production. So, like I said, he was 54th out of 89. So, he's a little bit worse than half of the tackles in the league, but you're not really paying him a top 15, top 10 salary. So, overall, I do think Illuminor is pretty important, especially because this offensive line did show improvements this year. One of the first times they've been a top 15 unit in like 6, 7 years. So, um, overall, I think the offensive line should stick together. They all offensive linemen, retired guys like Whitworth, Kelsey, they all say continuity is the most important thing. You got to know what the guys next to you are going to do, and the longer you play together, the more you understand their tendencies and the type of players they are. So overall, I give Illuminor an urgency rating of 7 out of 10. I would like to see him back if the price is right, like Bob Barker said, bring him back. He is a bit older, but he was great this year for the team. Next, we'll get into the second player on my list. The second guy I have is Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver. He's younger than Illuminor at 25 years old, and his PFF grade was a 70.2, ranking him 40th out of 81 of all wide receivers in the league. So literally right down the middle, one spot below. So the strengths of Wan'Dale Robinson, he's a great separator. He's really good in the slot. He's great at finding holes in the zone coverage. Surprisingly, he has a lot of rack ability. He breaks a lot of tackles considering his size. He's only like 5'8", 180 pounds, but he really can get the ball. He can get a lot of yards after the catch, and this was by far his best year. He had a breakout season. He cracked 1,000 yards. So it's going to be interesting what they see with what the Giants do with Wan'Dale. His weakness is he's not an outside wide receiver, being that he's only 5'8". He really can't play out wide. He's basically limited to the slot and the slot only. So a lot of people would enjoy the versatility of someone different. And then Wan'Dale's average value per year would bring him about $17.6 million per year, which makes him around the 25th highest paid wide receiver in the league, which in my opinion is also fair value. So the wide receiver contracts are just absolutely loaded. So you're going to have to pay him. He's also young, so that also factors into it. Wan'Dale was fantastic this year. He eclipsed over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. All comes down to his price tag. All these players, I would love to bring them back, the guys on my list, because they were all contributors, but it all just comes down to the value. If another team offers Wan'Dale $25 million a year and the Giants are only willing to give him 17, then obviously you got to let him walk. Wandale was Dart's favorite target. Granted, Malik was out for all of Jackson Dart's starting career or starting season so far. He only had him for like 3/4 of the first or 2/4 of the first game. So you want to keep that familiarity between your quarterback and wide receiver. But if Wandale's getting a bag somewhere else, you got to let him walk. I give Wandale's urgency rating a 6 out of 10. I would like to see him back. However, I do think you would be able to replace him fairly, maybe not fairly easily, but you could probably find another great slot wide receiver for cheaper than that. And you would like to have an outside guy with Malik being on the other side, not just a slot wide receiver. Next guy on the list, we got Cordell Flott, corner. Cordell Flott is actually only 24 years old, so he's still pretty young. He's been in the league for about 3 years. His overall PFF grade was 65.6, ranking him 45 out of 114 corners, which is surprisingly a lot higher than I thought. I'm getting all these stats according to PFF, like I said, so PFF doesn't tell the full story, but it's a good guideline to see where they rank compared to other corners. So Cordell Flott has improved season over season pretty significantly. And granted his age, I would love to see him back. He's only 24. Like he's still super young. His strengths are he's very sticky in corner, 33rd in coverage grade, improving each year. Like I said, his first year he was just okay. 2 years ago he actually wasn't very good, and then last year he was okay again, and then this year was definitely his breakout season. He was like the best corner on the team. His weakness is he only weighs 177 pounds, so he struggles against more physical wide receiver and is not the best tackler. So he's not going to come up and make crazy tackles. He can't tackle the bigger backs like a Saquon, Derrick Henry, like one of those bigger running backs one-on-one with Cordell Flott. It's an easy broken tackle. So that's something he needs to improve on. Although his weight is super light, so I don't know if he necessarily can improve that very much. But Cordell Flott's contract, he's going to demand about $9.5 million per year, making him the 35th highest paid corner in the league. So he's still not necessarily breaking the bank for the team. Granted his age and everything, I definitely think Cordell Flott's one of my higher rated guys. Flott was the best corner on this team. And with him only being 24, I think they should re-sign him. I give that an urgency rating of a 7 out of 10. Next guy on the list, we got GVR, also known as Greg Van Roten. He's the guard. He was the starting guard for the Giants this past season. He is a bit older at 35 years old, but his PFF grade was 65.3, ranking him 35 out of 81 guards. His strengths, his pass blocking grade, similar to Illuminor, was pretty high. He was rated 70.1, ranking 22nd out of 81 guards in the league, ranking first in snaps at 1,151. So one very underrated positive is that GVR doesn't get hurt too much. This year he played the most snaps out of any other guard in the league. And the continuity is important, as stated previously. So if you have a guy that's always out on the field, not getting hurt too much, it's important to have that. He is older, so we got to see what they decide to do with him. His weakness is run back blocking. Him and Illuminor are pretty similar. He doesn't necessarily move the line of scrimmage as much. It's a lot tougher at guard because you're going up against defensive tackles that are 350, 400 pounds. So it's a lot harder to get a push as opposed to a tackle, but he's still solid at run blocking. His contract would be cheaper because he is older. Like I said, 35 years old. His contract would gross about $5 million per year, which would rank him 35th highest paid guard in the league. I would love to sign Van Roten to a 1 to 2 year deal. He's inexpensive or a decent starter. He was just overall solid. He's not fantastic. He won't blow you away with his tape, but he's just an overall veteran guy that'll get the job done. Urgency for GVR, I give 5 out of 10. I would like to see him back. However, if he does end up leaving, it's not the end of the world. Next guy, let's get into it. I think might be a surprise to some people, but in my opinion, the next most important free agent would be Micah McFadden, the linebacker. He's 26 years old. He didn't really play this year. He had that Liz Frank injury. I think it was week 1 or 2. So I'm using his ratings based upon 2024 season. He was rated 62.8, ranking him 47 out of 83 linebackers in the league. His strength, he's overall just a solid linebacker, good at stopping the run, and surprisingly effective blitzer. Weakness, he's not the best in coverage. He's a typical middle linebacker, not the best coverage guys, but is kind of the coordinator. He's the quarterback of the defense. He puts guys in the right place, goes up, makes a tackle. He's not the most athletic player, so he can't really play that good of coverage. His contract would gross about 2.4 million per year. He'd be the 63rd highest paid linebacker. The reason I think McFadden would be a good signing is because he is coming off that injury. You can get him at an even cheaper price than he would probably go for. So it's almost the best time to re-sign him. It's like buying stocks. You're buying low on him. McFadden is a great player. He's coming off injury, which decreases his value, but could be a good time to sign a solid linebacker to a cheap deal. That's the notes I had there. Urgency for Micah McFadden is like a 5 out of 10 as well. I would love to re-sign him because $2.4 million per year for a starting linebacker is a great value. Even though he's not necessarily the best linebacker in the league, he is solid. If he's out there on the field, you're not necessarily upset. He's not absolutely blowing coverages and letting up big runs and stuff. He does his job well. Even for a depth piece, $2.4 million is definitely doable. Bobby Okereke is getting much more than that, and he's honestly a worse player. He's better at tackling, but his coverage is terrible. And then the last section, I have some honorable mentions. These are guys that you probably all know that I didn't discuss. First guy is Russell Wilson, urgency 3 out of 10. Russ, he would just be a backup at this point of his career, and the Giants already have Jameis Winston, so you'd basically be paying 2 backup quarterbacks. You don't need that. Jameis, you still have 1 more year, I think, or 2 more years on his contract, so I think you just let Russ walk unless you get him for absolutely no money at all, which I doubt would happen. Next guy is Daniel Bellinger. I do like Bellinger. I think he is actually quite effective in his role, but urgency, I give it 2 out of 10. He's really just a blocking tight end. Theo Johnson's more the receiving guy, so you already have that covered. And I think you can get a similar type tight end in the 4th or 5th round of the draft, paying him less money than what Bellinger would probably demand. So I think Bellinger's urgency is a 2 out of 10. And the last guy is Dane Belton. 3 out of 10 urgency. Young safety. He doesn't do anything special, really. He's okay at coverage. He's okay at stopping the run. He, like I said, with Bellinger, you could probably get another safety that does the same thing for cheaper in like the 5th or 6th round of this upcoming draft. And unless you get him for super cheap, he would only be a depth piece. I would hope. I don't think he's necessarily starting material. He could fill in a couple games here and there, but you really don't want Dane Belton being your starting safety moving forward. So that is the top 5 free agents I think the Giants have on their team coming up. Comment down below if you agree or disagree with my urgency and my list. Like, comment, subscribe. And later this week, I'm probably going to drop an episode of top free agents I think the Giants should target, not on the team, out in free agency. We're officially in the offseason. Draft stuff will be coming. Mock drafts, all that good stuff. Shout out to Seattle. They won me my Super Bowl box, got the final score, even though it was a pretty boring game. I think most people expected that, though. Seattle was by far the best team in the league. And Seattle Seahawks give the Giants hope because last year they were not very good. They made a couple great signings in the offseason in Darnold, Cooper Kupp, DeMarcus Lawrence, and look, they went on to win the Super Bowl. Do I think the Giants could do that? Probably not, but it just shows that the NFL is a year-to-year league, and you can really turn things around if you have a great offseason. So it starts here. Let's sign the people that we need. We need value contracts. We need to find hidden gems, and we need to develop our younger players. Once again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and remember, bet the over.